The Federal and Devaki Specialty Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2024 Run for Health on Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Entry is free for all.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Post the Haryana election results, everyone is asking the same question, that how could Congress get this election wrong? What were the factors which were responsible for the Congress's loss? And also, what were the factors for BJP's victory? And because everyone was saying that this wasn't a victory which even many leaders in the BJP were expecting, looking at the ground sentiment, which was swelling against the party. But now that the BJP has won, and now everyone is asking that will Nayab Singh Saini become the Chief Minister of Haryana for the second time? Because the state president, Mr. Badoli, has just given a soundbite to the TV channels saying that there is no confirmation yet about the oath taking. There is no confirmation yet about the deputy chief minister. There are some speculative reports that apparently Anil Vij and Rao Inderjeet Singh have started flexing their muscles. There are unconfirmed reports also about Manohar Lal Khattar that apparently he doesn't want to be a union minister anymore, but wants to go back to Haryana as the chief minister. So if that is the game which is on within the BJP, will Nayab Singh Saini become the chief minister of Haryana for the second time? On this and much more, joining me now is senior journalist, author, and commentator Neerja Chowdhury. Thank you so much, Neerja, for joining on the Federal. And coming to the basic question on the fact that will Nayab Singh Saini become the chief minister of Haryana for the second time? What are your sources telling you? And the very fact that he was projected as the CM face, and now will BJP backtrack on this bit?
Nayab Singh Saini seemed to be the new star on the horizon. Young, after 5 years, having victory of this kind, and an OBC face, and an OBC face from Heartland, India. So that is the leadership of the future. Now, as soon as the victory news came, if you recall, the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, and others quickly called him up and congratulated him. But it is also a fact, as you say, that people are flexing their muscle, Rao Inderjeet Singh, as you've said, and also, more important, M.L. Khattar, who led the party for 9.5 years and was asked by the High Command to resign earlier this year and was shifted to the Union of India. Now, this victory has somehow, in many ways, endorsed his leadership, because otherwise what people used to say was there's deep unhappiness with Mr. Khattar, and will he is he a factor? Is he a major factor for the anti-incumbency that had set in Haryana against the BJP? Now, Mr. Khattar's name is also doing the rounds for the party presidentship. There have been talks between the RSS and the BJP, and unhappy RSS, which had held back in the UP election. There were news to this effect. They were unhappy with the functioning of the Prime Minister and so on. But I believe in Haryana, the RSS put its best foot forward and campaigned for the BJP candidates. And that could be one of the reasons for the kind of victory that the BJP has scored. So will Mr. Khattar, the many names have been doing the rounds, have been under discussion, Sunil Bansal, Vijay Tavre, Devendra Fadnavis, many names. But M.L. Khattar is a name which many observers feel, could be acceptable to both the party and the RSS. Now, I'm being highly speculative when I talk about all this, because this is a kind of feedback that one is getting with nothing to confirm. And so, yes, Nayab Singh Saini is the obvious choice for another term. He's only done 5 months. It's not even as if he's done another term. And because the polarization in Haryana was on Jat versus non-Jat line in a big way. And OBCs are the major chunk of that non-Jat factor. One would have thought that the party would naturally repeat Nayab Singh Saini. But let's see in the coming hours what happens.
Right. But as you said, that this victory also endorses Mr. Khattar's leadership as well. So now the feeling is that, they will try and quell the farmers again. And apparently, Nayab Singh Saini would not be that kind of a strong man who can quell the farmers. Maybe Khattar would be a better choice. There's also a view coming like that. So, what would you say to that, Neerja?
If the vote base of OBC and the BJP is going all out, to retain the support of the OBCs in the north, and also to wrest back those OBCs that had left it in the Lok Sabha election. If that is the case, and you remove OBC and put in Punjabi Khatri in his place as CM, what is going to be the impact? Because, it is even inside the Congress, the Dalit versus Jat fault lines played out, very sharply, and we know what the results were. So the Jats were very, very angry because one of the reasons was that they had not got the leadership in 2014, not in 2019 of the state of which, they've had in the past. Now, will the BJP take that kind of a risk in Haryana, given that Saini is an OBC? I mean, I don't know. They may, but I would be surprised.
So, which means that it's highly unlikely that they might not make Nayab Singh Saini the chief minister. He's the obvious choice, and probably BJP would go for it. So, why are these speculations all of a sudden doing the rounds that, Anil Vij also is in the CM race, then Ravinderjeet Singh, now ML Khattar's name is being propped up. Now, is this a strategy? Why these kind of rumors are being spread? Does this look like some deliberate game?
It's part of politics. Everybody is positioning himself or herself, and for hard bargaining about what they want. They may position themselves for CM, but actually may want HM's position. Or for their supporters or followers who've been elected as MLAs to also be given portfolios, to be given other things. So this is a natural part of politics. After every election and an election like this, yes, those who have won or are powerful within the ruling group will, assert and ask for their pound of flesh or, whatever that adds up to.
Okay, now we do not know. I mean, it's all a speculation, so we'll have to wait and watch who becomes the chief minister, and will Nayab Singh Saini become the chief minister for the second time. But coming to the wide allegations, that the Haryana elections have been rigged, and there was some. Yesterday, we saw a Congress delegation going to the election commission, and they brought in this case of 99% of the EVMs which were charged versus some 65 to 68% EVMs which were charged. Now, those kind of allegations which are being leveled, how much of substance is really there in these kind of allegations? Because they're not saying that, the EVMs have been hacked, but they're talking about how the EVMs probably have been,
replaced.
Yes.
Yes, some EVMs may be replaced, given the battery charge. That at the end of the day, the certain EVMs where the BJP had a big lead were 99.9% charge. So that has raised the suspicions. Now, there is no evidence. There is absolutely no evidence except for this, circumstantial thing that the Congress has pointed to. But the EC's ruled it out completely. But the EC can, after all, it's a major opposition party making that kind of an allegation. And therefore, and now that one goes into the countryside traveling, a lot more people talk about the EVM question mark than they used to even 5 years ago. So I think the EC needs to take some steps or to go into it, look at these allegations and come up with, if there is nothing, and then come up with its final view, rather than ruling it out immediately.
No, but Neerja, what did you say to the outright rejection of whatever the memorandum which was sent by Jairam Ramesh. He sent a memorandum to the Election Commission, which was immediately rejected. Now today also it's there in the papers that it's an undemocratic rejection of the mandate which the Congress has got, and they are trying to pinpoint fingers at the Congress. Now, what would one say? And even during the court hearings, which have been seen previously on the EVMs and the VVPAT, the manner in which the Election Commission has responded, saying that there's no room for doubt. So, what would you say? Will Election Commission ever address these questions ever when it comes to the opposition?
That is the point for the BJP to say that the Congress is crying wolf all the time. Whenever they lose, they think it's EVMs. When they win, it's not EVMs. And they have a point there. And they can say undemocratic rejection of the people's mandate. But the EC is a different body. And if the major opposition party is making those charges, then the EC should certainly look at it and then come back with its view. As I said, so far, there's no evidence. A lot of people think, there may be nothing to it. But because it is an opposition party making those kind of serious allegations, or serious, not allegations, but serious, there's disquiet on that front, EC could look at it and then give its verdict.
Right. But now coming to the factors, obviously, it's EVMs alone cannot be the reason, and nobody has an evidence. But if you look at the factors which have contributed to Congress's loss, and many in the Congress now, they have started saying off the record, though they have not come on record and said it, but when you speak to them on the phone, then people say that, yeah, we had put all the eggs into Huda's basket, and that is something, which has backfired for Congress. Now, if the realization is now, why couldn't the Congress take actions earlier, knowing the fact that, okay, you outsource the entire election to Huda and it can backfire for the party in some way or the other, which it has?
No, which it happened. The Congress is an umbrella party at the end of the day. And I was thinking today, this election has been more about Kumari Selja than it has been about Bhupinder Singh Huda.
True.
And he was the man leading the charge. It was a given, done deal. He was going to be chief minister again. And the Jats were creating a sentiment in favor of the Congress for the last 2 years because of the Kisan Andolan, because of Agnivir, because of the restless agitation. So they, we know, were on the Congress side. And it seemed, as I said, a done deal. And suddenly the victory is snatched away. And then when you start to look at the reasons, and if you can focus it in one word, it is Kumari Selja. And she represented the Dalit sentiment, which felt that they had not got their due. And Dalits, in Dalit Basti, I heard them say, if, she sat at home for 12, 13 days, she's unhappy. Huda has marginalized her. Huda has not given her tickets. Huda has not allowed her to contest herself in the assembly election. To them, she suddenly became a symbol of all that they were feeling. They feared the return of what they call Jat Shahi, Jat rule, where hamare sir pe baithenge. Those are the kind of words they use. So given that, conflict that exists and the fear about the Jat rule coming back, and they had seen Huda rule for 10 years earlier. So she suddenly epitomized that. And they said, if she sits at home for more days, BJP will come back to power. Of course, one didn't take it seriously because they were saying, "Hum to Congress ko vote kar rahe hain. We are voting for the Congress." But that is what came to pass finally. But the Dalit and the non-Jat section, OBCs, there was a solid backlash, I feel, from them.
Do you think that this backlash, which has happened because of the withdrawal of Kumari Selja, it must have happened in the last 12 to 13 days? Because if you look at the initial phase, it was a groundswell of sentiment which was seen in favor of Congress. So which means that during those 12, 13 days where she didn't step out of her house, it was only on 26th that she started joining the rallies. And from there on, she was seen along with Huda on the stage. So which means that this sentiment turned against Congress in these 12, 13 days? This is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. Look, the sentiment for change exists, because Congress has got 40% of the vote. It is 11% more than the last time. So
Right.
there were people who were rooting for change. The BJP is almost at that. Now the Congress victory is concentrated in seats, 20,000, 22,000, 18,000. The BJP victory spread over thinly, and where the leads are much narrower. I'm saying Selja became the symbol of the non-Jat consolidation, and within that, the Dalit angst and fear about the return of Jat rule. So the Dalit who had voted, a chunk of the Dalit, I'm not saying who voted for the BJP, for the Congress, in the 2024 Lok Sabha election, I think went back to the BJP. So she, as I said, she was symbolic of that. It's not only her, It's not that Selja is, if one can say, will she be able to transfer the Dalit vote to whoever she wants? We don't know. So far, not. But suddenly, she's been catapulted into a position of representing that sentiment because she sat at home. And that's why I say, when you look at it, it's Selja's election. And that Dalit, that OBC that she suddenly began to represent, or what they felt, she represented, because she was not given her due that they thought that Dalit and OBC should get. Suddenly turned the election.
Right. No, but Neerja, now when you look at the factors, of course, Shelja was one factor. Then Huda's arbitrariness in a way that, he was the driver of the Haryana elections during the entire campaign. Now, if if one may ask that, where does the buck stop here? If you have to set up the accountability, and if the heads have to roll, how will the Congress High Command take an action? Today also there is a meeting which has been called by Mr. Kharge, and where Randeep Surjewala, Kumari Shelja, Bhupender Huda all have been called. Now, what is the kind of action which the High Command can really take? Or will they just have a conventional meeting, they'll walk out, maybe set up a committee which will look into for days and days, and we'll not know what the High Command will do eventually?
No, this is the question that many, many people are asking. And the culpability is of Mr. Huda, but it is also of the High Command. The bitterness, the deep bitterness and differences and factionalism, or the divides between, say, Mr. Huda and Shelja have existed for all of 20 years. It's not a story of the last 20 days that she was suddenly ignored. And that was not taken on board, that was not addressed by the High Command. That's a fact. Of course, they put their eggs in one basket this time, give it to Mr. Huda, and he's supposed to have decided 72 out of the 90 tickets. And Shelja got 5 tickets of her choice, but there were 4 of her main people, apparently, who were denied tickets. She herself wanted to contest in this election in the assembly, and she declared it openly, and that she was not allowed to do. So all this had signals to send. Ideally, yes, the High Command should have, got its main leaders together and got them to sort out things, which is what the Congress does. But they failed to do that. I think they were very super confident that they were coming back to power, and Mr. Huda was the one who would deliver it. Now, Mr. Huda might have also delivered the election. If you also look at the role of the independents, there are 16 independents and Congress rebels who damaged the Congress. Now, 7 of them are rebels, people say, who are supposed to be close to Mr. Huda. So if his person was not given the ticket, did an independent who was close to him stand against the official candidate? Now, sometimes this happens in many states, this kind of a phenomenon. But certainly they did damage. And Aam Aadmi Party, the decision not to tie up with the Aam Aadmi Party, the Aam Aadmi Party polled more votes than the margin of the BJP's victory in 5 seats. And of course, you cannot assume that all those people who voted for the Aam Aadmi Party would have naturally voted for the Congress. You can't. But maybe a chunk of them would have, and chunk of other constituencies because they fielded candidates everywhere. And remember, Haryana is not only a small state, it's a state with small Vidhan Sabha constituencies, 180 to 2 or just above. It's not like UP, large constituencies where 1,000, 2,000, 1,500 don't make a difference. Here, 1,500 votes, 2,000 votes make a lot of difference. So given that, it required very skillful micromanagement, not just the hawa and a desire for change. That is what was lacking in the Congress.
And this is where you feel the BJP gained, and BJP got into this kind of micromanagement, even if it was in the last phase of the election.
BJP is very good at the last mile of the election. BJP has an organization about which we all know, the biggest organization in the world, well-oiled machinery, all that is a given. And they had all the senior people camping there, and they don't give up. They just don't give up, even though there are adverse circumstances, and they don't sit back till the last moment. And if they lose, they will get back to the drawing board the next day.
Absolutely.
Now, you see what this is the answer to your question. Let's see what the Congress does effectively. A committee, yes, of course, there will be. But we've had dime a dozen committees giving their reports. But what is the action that is going to be taken? It's not easy at all, because there is an aggressive Jat in Haryana, and now we see signs of an aggressive Dalit voter. The Dalit voter is no longer passive. They say, give us our place under the sun. Somebody said to me, we will not be treated like a trash army. That's not the kind of tone one heard in the past.
Right. But, this brings me to the question, and the last 2-3 questions which I want to ask you, that now how will Haryana election results change the narrative of, both for BJP and Congress? Now, the fact that the non-Jat voters have consolidated aggressively in favor of the BJP, they've gone ahead and voted for BJP. And now I was listening to what Mr. Naidu told the Indian Express. He's batting for caste census. So now, will there be a clarion call now, and BJP will have to think seriously about caste census? They cannot afford anymore to put it on the back burner.
It is very interesting. Is Mr. Naidu's comment his own? One of sudden spontaneous reply to a reporter's query?
Yes.
Or is it a trial balloon? Is
trial balloon? The trial balloon floated by Naidu.
Yeah, or has he had conversations with BJP leaders also? Let's see what the response will be to this. And he's the face of it. Because you're absolutely right. The future elections are going to belong to the OBCs and Dalits. No party can afford to ignore them now. And this consolidation, also Maharashtra, everybody's watching. What is going to be the impact of Haryana on Maharashtra? Maharashtra is a very important state, not because it has 48 Lok Sabha MPs and is the second largest financial hub. Now, will the OBC versus Maratha fault line there? Will this consolidate the OBCs that much more behind the BJP in Maharashtra? Of course, it will enthuse the workers and all that, of course, is a given. But what will happen to the OBC consolidation in Maharashtra as a result of what's happened in Haryana? We need to see. So certainly, I would agree with you. Caste census is a signal to the OBCs.
Right. But also, Neerja, don't you think that now there are question marks, when it comes to the narrative which was built by the opposition so far, that there is a limitation to which these farmer issues work on the ground. There is a limitation to which the Agniveer and also the women wrestlers issue worked on the ground. At least there was a limited impact we could see. And in certain pockets, it was not like a pan Haryana issue. And if you purely look at the manner in which the people have voted, so will the opposition have to change its tactics now when it launches its campaign in Maharashtra and Jharkhand? That they'll have to rethink that, to what level can they push up these issues as far as the farmers' issues are concerned, the Agniveer, and even constitution. To what level can they go ahead now?
I think though the issues are potent, Remember, we can't forget 40% vote that has come.
Right.
It's where, and we mustn't forget that Dushyant Chautala lost. He was number 5. So even in that belt, or Abhay Chautala, he's lost. So even in the belt, the Jat belt, where the Chautala family or the old Devilal family held their ground, even there the Jats moved away. And the Jats moved away not to the BJP. The Jats moved away to the Congress.
Yes.
So it's not that people those issues were not effective. The issues were effective. It is how the election got panned out. As they say, the micromanagement of the election. That is where really the Congress was found wanting. And the BJP gained. And because it had a strategy, it had people working, it knew how to utilize. It got into the act the moment Selja talked about her angst. Sat at home. The BJP used the issue to the hilt. Absolutely. In those 12 days. So I think it is much more that the Congress, there is increasing goodwill for Rahul Gandhi all over the country. I found this in Jammu and Kashmir. I didn't meet one single person in the valley who didn't have a good word for Rahul Gandhi. And yet you are down to only 1 seat equal to that of AAP in Jammu.
Right.
And only 5 in the valley. So while the Congress organization is paying attention to building up Rahul Gandhi's political persona, and they should do so, it is not giving attention to building up the party organization.
Right. True.
And that's where they, fall.
Right. True. So, Neerja, my last question now is that what is the biggest message then, if I may ask, for Congress and BJP both when it comes to the Haryana election results?
Look, the BJP, Congress is obvious. It has to become an umbrella party. It's got to take all its people together. It has to take all communities together. It's got to address the problems of the organization, get its strategy right, tactics right, and so on. And then what is coming as a challenge is from the allies of the Congress within India bloc. So this defeat has increased the bargaining power of the allies, and we'll see that come to the fore in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. Will the Congress tie up with AAP? In Delhi, the AAP has ruled it out. So anyway, its allies are also going to pose a problem to it, that the Congress has become too arrogant and too rigid. Mamta has said it, Shiv Sena has said it, other parties have said it. As for the BJP, I think it will be to take Haryana. It's a little Haryana, but it's given them a huge, big fillip, no doubt. Because had Haryana been lost, people would have said the opposition is making inroads into the Hindi heartland finally. Now that march has been stopped. So that is a psychological advantage. But they too need to, get their act together and not sit on their haunches. They're not given to sitting back and, taking things for granted. But still, they will have to be worried also about their allies. And Jammu and Kashmir there are moments in history when an opportunity comes to move forward, when a problem has been so intractable and acute, as Kashmir has been very troubled. Now, will the BJP take a larger view? Will the BJP go for the soft touch rather than the sakti? Because there is an opportunity here. So I think let's see how the BJP also has its task cut out for it in Maharashtra, with the kind of nationalism in the party and problems with its allies within.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Neerja, for talking to us. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.
The Federal and Devaki Specialty Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2024 Run for Health on Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Entry is free for all.